Hello and welcome to the live Q&A with me, Professor Michael Scott. It is the 25th of August. How time flies. I hope your summer has been going well. I hope you haven't been too hot wherever you are in the world. Here in the UK, it's been pretty hot all the way through with our kind of record couple of days in which we were over the 40-degree mark. But it has now miraculously turned completely wet and rainy this afternoon on the day, or just the day after, I think, a hosepipe ban was introduced here in our part of the world. So there you have it, the ups and downs of the summer in the UK. But thank you so much, as always, for your fantastic questions coming in. And we've got some absolute astoundingly good and fun questions to answer today that relate in some cases specifically to the trials and tribulations of the summer months. And I think we should start with one of those because I think we might all be needing some of this advice. So Alexis Brown has come in with a question saying that during the last Q&A, which was of course our 100th Q&A, and we were having a massive party and celebrating, Alexis was in Rhodes on holiday enjoying some excellent Greek sunshine. And she's come back saying, did the ancients have any cures for sunburn? Alexis, right, okay. Well, obviously they didn't have our suntan cream to slather all over ourselves in one form or another as we have today to protect ourselves. And of course, the ancients were spending a lot more time outdoors than they were indoors, at least certain segments of the population were. And thus their skin was probably a lot better adapted to the rigors of the Greek sunshine. But that did not mean that they did not get sunburn, or indeed quite regularly more aggressive actual burns from their work and working with fires and campfires and fires within the household and the central hearth, etc, etc, etc. And there are quite a few ancient texts that tell us a little bit about kind of what to do if you get yourself sunburned or burnt. Hello everyone. Hello Deborah. Hello Anna. Hello you. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Absolutely great today to see you all, and welcome from all different places that you are coming from in the world. And we're talking about sunburn, ancient cures for sunburn and burn. Clive's asking about skin cancer as well. Any evidence? I don't know actually off the top of my head about evidence for skin cancer and how they would diagnose it as such. I need to look in the medical texts about the different problems and issues that they understood to happen with skins. Hello Sarah, hello Deborah, hello Helen, how are you all? Thank you so much indeed. So what do you do if you're an ancient with a burn? Well, some of them sound pretty good. Excuse me for a second. Some of them I need an ancient remedy for a cough, don't I? Some of the recipes don't sound too bad. Olive oil and honey is something that people would apply in the ancient world for any kind of burn, or indeed sort of any kind of wound, surface wound. They understood, or at least understood, that putting honey, which we now understand because of its antiseptic kind of abilities and also kind of its kind of very beneficial properties, is actively useful for treating surface wounds, dealing with infection, and of course helping with burns. So olive oil and honey sounds pretty good. Tracy, you're joining us from Athens live on the BSA undergraduate course. This is excellent. After a full day of kind of out and about, you've still got some time to come in for the Q&A. Brilliant. Hi Patricia, hi Kamlesh, hi Fiona, how are you doing? Was pale skin, Fiona's asking about, regarded as attractive as they were in medieval times? Fair Rosamund, well, particularly for women who weren't supposed to be, or at least elite women who weren't supposed to be outdoors doing manual tasks, and instead were supposed to sort of stay indoors, that then very much actually, yes, pale skin was a sort of guarantor of, in some ways, elite status. It was only those who had to be out in the fields who were, of course, going to be much more tanned. So we do see some indications that kind of that pale skin was really a favoured thing to have if you're an elite woman. And indeed, in some of the religious processions, when these elite women would actually come out and be part of the elite religious procession, like we were talking last time about the Panathenaic procession in Athens, and elite women of marriageable age were being paraded at the front, they would often actually have that paleness accentuated with a form of makeup that would be whitening up their cheeks in particular. Hello from Alaska, William. Hello from Swansea, Carol. Thank you all so much indeed for tuning in. So we've got olive oil and honey as one particular solution for burn. Alexis, I hope you're able to join us and your sunburn is improving, or at least now you've got these great ideas for remedies. You might be able to get some kind of relief. Goat's milk, another way to go. Goat's milk. And also, of course, Hippocrates, very big on pig lard. So, right, yes, I mean, this is where we might start to move slightly more into the not quite sure about some of these remedies. But obviously, you can imagine pig lard likes a lot of grease in it. You can imagine, as long as you don't go back out in the sun, in which case you're just going to start cooking like your chips in oil and fat. But a bit of pig lard, mix a bit of honey in there. Pretty much they put honey with everything, it seems, as a sort of good correction for any problem with skin. If pig lard doesn't put you off, hello Alexis, thank you so much indeed for letting us know you're here, and I hope, how is your sunburn? Tell us all, and hopefully some of these remedies, if it's still pretty bad, can be helpful. Pig lard, if that hasn't put you off, well then, how about cow dung? Because cow dung, of course, mixed with honey, was also one of the things that the ancients thought was a good remedy for kind of dealing with burns and sunburn. And in fact, actually, there has been some evidence, some investigation of cow dung to show that it does have some kind of antiseptic properties again. So might actually be something to this, as well as just the honey doing its job, that we know it definitely does. So if cow dung and honey doesn't put you off, then perhaps you might want to try the ultimate of ancient Roman remedies for burn and sunburn by the writer Dioscurides. Now, he suggests burnt leather from used shoes. Yes, I don't quite understand this either. But apparently if you sort of, burn down the leather from good old used shoes, then you can rub that into your burns and it will help. If anyone does want to try this, and anyone does try it, then do please let us know. But as a health and safety disclaimer, I'd like to make it clear that we are not officially recommending this treatment policy, and no one to do with the Michael Scott Facebook page recommends this policy, and you are very much on your own if you decide to try the burnt leather shoe route. Equally, getting back onto perhaps a more kind of welcome track, there was bark from particularly pine trees that was thought to have some good property to be able to kind of put in and help clean out wounds and particularly burns. And then of course they also go down the route, which I think people might be a little bit more comfortable with, of using red wine. Red wine, of course. Now, quite a lot of recipes also put some vinegar in there, and the vinegar, you can imagine, kind of quite a sting to it, but a good antiseptic quality, clean out the wound. Red wine thought to do the same thing, but of course red wine in a number of different locations and points in time is been thought of to have had beneficial properties for skin more generally. In fact, I was once offered in a Roman style baths a bath in red wine because it was supposed to have some kind of beneficial property. I thought this was a ridiculous idea. Why bathe in it when you can drink it instead? But there we go. You can have a red wine remedy for your burns as well. So if that hasn't given you a smorgasbord of different ideas for you to try to deal with sunburn, if you have been out there and about enjoying the sun this summer, then I don't know what is. But do let us know, send in some photos, perhaps, of any uses of cow dung, burnt leather shoes, pig lard, and any of the above. I'm sure we'd all like to see. Do share them either on the Facebook page or on the Classics Community Facebook page. And good luck to you all. So Alexis, thank you so much indeed for that question. Absolutely brilliant. Changing tack slightly, we have William Moulton who's been in touch, talking about the fact that he's been reading about how Achilles promised a lock of hair to a local river god for a safe return. Orestes, another great ancient Greek character, of course, left a lock of hair on his father's tomb. Did the ancient Greeks really do such things? Well, William, yes, indeed they did. Doing things with your hair was an important way in which you could show respect. Now, that could be, as in Orestes' case, to a dead relative. So it would be an offering, something of very much of your own, which you then left as an offering to a dead relative. Or it could be, as with Achilles' case, a sort of promise of something special and personal and important to a god, a sort of dedication, if you will. I'm offering this up to you for you. in order to try and get something back in return. And we know, of particular shrines, religious shrines, where kind of the lock of hair was the dedication expected par excellence. So it wasn't just an option, it was actually kind of the thing that you did. This is what this god with this epithet in this place particularly liked and enjoyed. So in Troyzen, for instance. So kind of, there's lots of different ways in which hair was an important gift to offer. So Alexis is asking, cutting hair in the morning before battle. Are we thinking about the Spartans who supposedly combed their hair before battle, making sure it was all neat and tidy? Hello, Nassim, watching from Pakistan this time. Welcome. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Helen's in Ireland. Not much risk of sunburn here. Keep a bottle of red open just in case. Good on you, Helen. Good on you. That's the way to approach life and the problems of the world today. So we've been talking about locks of hair. So you can offer up a lock of hair, but there was another aspect in which hair was sort of given, but in a less sort of charming way, in which you cut a lock to sort of be able to sort of offer it on a tomb. And that was, of course, if you wanted to show distress. And so we're thinking about particularly funerals here, where people might be tearing their hair out, quite literally, in the funeral procession, as a way of kind of showing their distress and sadness at the death of a particular loved one. Now, when you get into the Roman era, you actually have kind of paid professional mourners who do the kind of shrieking and the wailing and the tearing at their breast and the tearing out of their hair for you. So you don't necessarily have to do it yourself as a Roman elite. But it was not unknown also, going back into the Greek period, for people to shave their heads entirely as a mark of respect for funerals as well. So kind of the complete loss of hair, the de-hairing of yourself, or at least of your head, to show kind of your respect. So, William, before you get any ideas, I would suggest you check in with any parents in the household before you start suggesting I'm cutting off my hair and offering it as a dedication to the gods, or indeed start tearing your hair out. And certainly before you start shaving your head in any way, shape or form. Although, of course, you could try the old secret message sending trick that is related to us in the 4th century BCE text, Achilles, where he talks about the way, how do you get a secret message into a besieged city? Well, here's an obvious choice. You shave a slave's head, you tattoo the message on to the said slave's head, then you wait for said slave's hair to grow back, then send said slave into besieged city. No one will know or possibly see the message, whereupon your recipient simply shaves that poor slave's head once again to read the message. Now, while I think this is absolutely foolproof in so many ways, I would suggest it's possibly not the speediest way of sending a message, at least depending on the particular slave and his hair growth abilities. So kind of, there you go, William, thank you so much for your question about offering up locks of hair. Yes, indeedy. So kind of that is one way to go to honour the gods, to ask for something, to honour your relatives and your family. We're going to take a quick break to go and have a think about some of the things that are in the news from the ancient Greeks. But we're coming back for some more excellent questions that will take us from the world of late Rome all the way to thinking a little bit about the Sicilian expedition, and possibly thinking a little bit about numbers as well in the ancient Greek world. But in the meantime, some excellent stuff going on around the world to do with the ancients at the moment. Some of you may have seen back from July, the New Statesman had a great article about Latin and Greek are not just for the elite. Studying classics has many values, kind of coming out particularly of the work of Classics for All, one of the great national charities in the UK promoting the study of classics in schools more widely, that I'm very honoured to be a trustee of. But then one of my favourites in The Guardian with the title, Not Just a Bouncy Castle, Hadrian's Wall Fort Rebuilt in Wild Colour. English Heritage, who run Housestead's Roman fort just along Hadrian's Wall, getting in on the exciting celebrations that have been happening all year at Hadrian's Wall for its 1900th anniversary, they have asked artist Morag Mirskov to rebuild the north gate of Housted's Roman fort in her own wild way. As a result, if you get a chance to visit, do go and see the intemporary scaffold structure, 16 metres by 9 metres. Visitors will allow kind of to have the same life-enhancing views that Roman guards looked out on nearly 2,000 years ago. Absolutely brilliant. Love it indeed. And while you're there at Housted, do go and have a look at the fantastic plumbing for the communal toilets. Excellent plumbing, absolutely superb, a real masterpiece of Roman engineering to get a good public toilet working in such a location. The Greek reporter has come back about the great tombs of Amphipolis. Now, you might remember back in 2012, there was a lot of excitement around the discovery of a new tomb at Amphipolis from the era around about the time of Alexander the Great for a Macedonian royal. And there's been a lot of discussion and debate about who this might actually be. But the tomb has been excavated and studied since 2012, but is now being made ready to be open to the public. And they think by the end of 2022, so a decade on from its discovery, they could be opening it to the public. So if you've got a trip planned anytime for northern Greece towards the end of this year or into 2023, put the Amphipolis tomb on your map, absolutely. This I thought was really interesting because we've been talking a little bit about the different senses in the ancient world, and then of course there's also thinking about sound, and there's been quite a lot of work done recently about the impact of sound, and sound particularly in battle. And it turns out that scholars have been thinking about it and looking at the evidence of this and realizing that the ancients were experts not just in how to commit to battle with weaponry and with animals and with different warfare tactics, but equally with the tactics of sound. Sound, tumultuous din that could disorientate, that could distract, that could add to the fear factor that they brought with them onto the battlefield. So all sorts of eerie horns, kind of terrifying battle cries, trumpeting elephants, all these sorts of things. We could term them a whole host of acoustic weaponry in many ways, kind of that were deployed in war to help one side gain that strategic advantage over the other. Some really interesting stuff coming out there. And all the links for all of these particular things are on the Facebook page, so do have a look for them, and we'll put particular links to the things we mentioned now in the review of this Q&A. A Roman bridge has been discovered. This is one of my particular favourites, discovered during roadworks in Rome. So in the area of the Via Tiburtina in northeast Rome, the discovery came to light during roadworks to enlarge the Via Tiburtina, and as a result have come across the remains of a Roman bridge from the imperial era, dating to kind of absolutely kind of extraordinary, still to be completed, but they think definitely imperial era for the bridge. And this goes to that question that we had a little while ago, where we were talking about is what's left to discover and get excited about. Surely we've been looking at the ancient world for an awfully long time, and yet here in perhaps one of the most studied cities in the world, Rome, at the epicenter of one of these great ancient cultures, we come across something new just kind of in recent months. Absolutely lovely to see. On the other hand, we also hear stories that catch my eye about how people are not perhaps taking the appropriate respectful kind of path when engaging with ancient sites. So the Independent had a great story about an Australian tourist who has been accused of driving his moped through the ancient city of Pompeii. Now, you'll be pleased to know that tourists are in fact banned from travelling through the 2,000-year-old site on any kind of motorised transport. And the tourist who decided to ignore these recommendations and rules and pop through on the moped, perhaps trying to get a sort of speed tour in before the end of the day, was immediately apprehended by security and subsequently charged with unauthorised access. So now you understand why there will probably now be outside Pompeii in future years big signs up, particularly with pictures of people riding mopeds with a big cross through them saying don't do this. And you often wonder why do they have to specifically say something about that? Surely it's obvious. But here's an example of clearly when it wasn't, and now the need to emphasise it. It's like when you go up on the Acropolis and you see there's an old stone plaque on the Acropolis, stone stele, as you go up towards the Acropolis. When I say old, it's old in modern terms, not an ancient stele, old in modern terms, on which it has several rules about what you can and cannot do on the Acropolis. One of which is no naked photographs in front of the Parthenon. No sort of standing naked in front of the Parthenon. Now, kind of, this I presume at one point, that someone did actually do this, and there was the whole kind of thing of trying to get a photograph in front of the Parthenon, sort of starkers. Again, slightly bonkers, but then you think, can it happen again? Even with that stele in place, very recently there's been a whole series of consternation expressed about the filming of a short pornographic film on the Acropolis that was made despite the fact that there are guards on the Acropolis kind of trying to keep track of everyone who's on there and what they're up to, but kind of clearly weren't able to keep quite track of what was happening. And when the film went viral online, there was quite some consternation about it. So don't drive your moped through Pompeii. Don't get naked in an archaeological site is the strong message from this podcast. In Bristol, they've come up with evidence for an enormous Roman glass factory where they're planning to build a whole new suite of houses and homes. And this is, again, one of the fascinating insights to the lesser-known aspects of the Roman world, that actually the Romans were really quite good at glass making. But normally we think about the epicenter of Roman glass making being over into the east of the Roman Empire, into what is now the Levant. But kind of actually here we're showing it happening in Bristol, all the way over in the western area of the empire as well. Emma, who's in Tarragona, kind of coming in for a good hot afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. And you've probably joined us at a slightly odd moment as we're discussing moped driving and nudity on archaeological sites. I apologise profusely, Emma, but thank you for joining us. And then lastly, from The Guardian, volunteers are sailing Roman boat replicas along the Danube. Brilliant to see practical archaeology back in action. A couple of things about what's on, things to flag to you. Sicily, my Sicily documentary is back on TV on Saturday the 27th, episode 2. Episode 1 is already available on iPlayer. And then if you've got a date for your diaries, you're going to be in the Lytham St Anne's area on the 5th of January 2023. I'm coming back to do my presidential lecture at the Lytham St Anne's Classical Association and giving a sneak preview of my new upcoming book. Shh, don't tell anyone. If you are up in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival right now, between up until the 28th of August, Medea the Musical is on. It's a rock concert in a courtroom. So get to see that if you can, and tell us what you think of it if you can. Hello from Cassie, from Mrs. Scott and Minnie Scott. Hello, Ella, like kind of thing. It's good to know the family are watching. Lovely. Thank you so much indeed. Sending much of love to you both. And kind of can't wait to give you a hug very, very soon indeed. Other things to think about. Live signing with Natalie Haynes, Stone Blind, on the 12th of September for her new book about Medusa. And then, of course, you can also have a little look at some of the videos that we've been putting out recently in conjunction with some of my students at Warwick. We've been looking at what's called the Patho Project. So we did a little bit of a video about Athenian approaches and ideas of water, and about sailing on the open seas, and about drowning, and the ancient Greek fear of drowning because of particularly what would happen to your body, and the fish would eat it. The fish had no sense of justice and would come along and eat your body. And that was partly one of the reasons why the ancient Greeks would do divination with all sorts of animals. You could follow the flight of birds, you could look at sort of how turtles move, whatever it might be, but you never ever trusted fish for divination because they were unjust and untrustworthy animals. Lots of great podcasts out there as well, from History Hack, from History Hit, as well as, of course, from the English Heritage podcast, which has got a special episode asking the experts in English Heritage everything you want to know about the Romans. So do check that out. In particular, right now, that looks absolutely brilliant. And then finally, new series announcement. Natalie Haynes is coming back for Stands Up for the Classics. I think this is season 8. And that's kind of going live, right now, in fact, as well. And I hear in the works there might even be a Series 9. We have 5 minutes or so to get a few more questions in. So Sarah Scotty was asking about, she has dyscalculia, so number dyslexia, and is unable to remember numbers. This puts her off seriously studying history. Do we think this would be a problem? No, we don't, Sarah. There are no problems stopping you from engaging with the love of the ancient world, and particularly numbers isn't one of them. I mean, obviously, we've got the ongoing debate about the Roman numerals backwards and forwards on the clock behind me, but we can be dealing with Roman numerals, which aren't numbers themselves, so that might be helpful. But equally, dates are kind of perhaps in some ways the last thing that really matter when you're thinking about history. We kind of now need to think much more in cultural and social history terms about why things are happening, what are the drivers to things happening, why are people being motivated to act in the way that they are, or indeed thinking about the experience of ancient times, kind of what was a place like, what sorts of things did they do, what sorts of things did they feel, what sorts of things did they experience. And all of these things are absolutely crucial approaches to thinking and understanding the ancient world, and none of them require a particular use of numbers. So get involved, Sarah. There are no excuses. And then we had also a question coming in from Debbie Clifton asking, she's off to Delos in October and Sicily in September, lucky you, trying to think about the role Alcibiades played in the Sicilian campaign of the late 5th century BCE. And she's also she's going to definitely be in Syracuse. Can we recommend any other places to visit? Well. Okay, so Alcibiades, the sort of love-hate child of the Athenian elite of the Athenian kind of political class. When Segesta, one of the cities of Sicily, asked Athens for help, formally asked Athens for help in its war against a neighbouring Sicilian city, which was actually much more allied with Sparta. There is a big debate in Athens about whether to respond. And Alcibiades is one of the people who really wants to get stuck in. He's like, let's get stuck in, let's send the forces, let's send the troops. On the other side of that debate in the Athenian assembly was a guy called Nicias, another kind of senior general at the time. Now, initially he was saying, no, don't touch it with a barge pole, don't touch it with a barge pole. He was losing the debate. Alcibiades, much more charismatic speaker. So Nicias made a bit of an error and went, all right then, send everything we've got. And he thought people would balk at the idea of people sending every troop and every ship that they had. But the Athenians absolutely lapped it up. And so Nicias sort of really got hung by his own petard in that he got appointed one of the generals of this expedition that was now absolutely massive to go and take help to Segesta against its rival in Sicily when he hadn't really wanted to do any of it in the first place. Another of these generals appointed, of course, was Alcibiades, because he'd been the big proponent going, let's go. But on the eve of when the Armada was supposed to set sail for Sicily, there was something called the destruction of the Herms. So these religious figures that were all around the cityscape of Athens were mutilated there, and the opponents of Alcibiades sort of started murmuring and moaning that it had been Alcibiades who had done it. Now, Alcibiades actually sort of said, right, well, if you're going to charge me right now, I'm here. Come on, lads, come on. I'll bring it on. But his opponents didn't really want to do that. They waited until he had set sail on the expedition to Sicily before then formally charging him, so that he couldn't actually answer back any of the accusations, and they could spend all the time in Athens whipping up hatred for Alcibiades. With the result that another ship had to be sent to catch up with the Armada they sent to Sicily and demand that Alcibiades actually then return to Athens, leaving poor old Nicias in charge of the expedition pretty much to face trial. Alcibiades said he would, but said he'll go back in his own ship, but instead of sailing back to Athens, he actually then sailed to the Athenian rival, that's to Sparta, where he then claimed asylum and kind of stayed there for the rest of the war, helping the Spartans against Athens, and ended up actually in absentia being condemned to death in Athens. So that's a very shorthand version of the complicated world of Alcibiades in relation to the Sicilian expedition. When you go to Sicily, what are you looking out for? Of course, you'll be in Syracuse. This is all brilliant, lovely places. Try and get to a couple of the other sites around the coast. Agrigento, again, well known, but still absolutely brilliant and worth going to. But also get round to Selinus, and then nearby Selinus, get round to the quarries, the ancient Greek quarry areas, which you can visit as archaeological sites, where you can actually see the quarrying that they're in the middle of doing, scraping out column drums, massive column drums for massive temples from the rock, which they had to abandon in mid-process because of an invasion coming from the Carthaginian side, and they sort of never came back to the site again. So you can see column drums half drawn out of the rock, all ready to be transported, but not actually being transported off to the site. That's one of my favourite places in Sicily. Definitely worth a visit. We are out of time. I have not got to the question about Romans and Christianity and the late Roman Empire. Linda Montague has been waiting so patiently for an answer, and I'm sorry, I have said that I'm going to answer this twice, so we will definitely do this first up next time. And when next time? It'll be on the 8th of September at 5 p.m. So I look forward to seeing you on Thursday, the 8th of September at 5 p.m. We will be kicking off with Christianity and the later Roman Empire, absolutely. In the meantime, enjoy your sunburn remedies, get stuck into the ancient world and everywhere you can, get chopping off your hair locks to offer up to your loved ones, and have a fantastic end to the summer. And if you're in the UK, Bank Holiday Monday on next Bank Holiday Monday, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all on the 8th of September. Take care, bye-bye.